Um, uh, we work so hard, folks, all year long to serve those who we design learning for. And this month, we thought we'd give a little back. And so we are very excited to have Bob Nutting join us here in just a moment about some ways that performance support can save the world and at least make a dent in it. We'll see that in just a bit. And then also, very importantly, we have at the very end, and we do this every year, is that we get your feedback on the year. We'd love to do an open forum, folks, if you can hang there with us. This, by the way, will probably not go the full hour as normal. We'll probably be a little shy of that for the holidays, give you a little step closer to the break. But we'd love to get your feedback on what you thought of the Performance Support community, what you'd love to see us do next year. We do our very best to keep it current and helpful and meaningful. We know you're busy. And so we'd love to hear your feedback on efforts that we've done, things that we might do in coming years as well. And then finally, we have a very exciting announcement at the end. So we're going to make you sit through it to hear it. So we hope, again, you will bear with us and join us for what will probably be 45 minutes or so, not probably a full hour as we get going. Con, you want to say hello?
Oh, hello. It's always dangerous for us to advertise that we're going to end early because who knows what happens with all of us. But goodness, it's great to have all of you here and welcome
Bob, do you want
today.
to say a quick hello as I shift to your slide here in just a second?
Well, hello, everybody. It's a privilege to be here on the call today.
Great having you here, Bob. So appreciate it. Bob is a dear friend and has been involved in our industry for years. He is a learning leader, has been in organizations, and has moved on to some just wonderful work. Bob and I hooked up, my gosh, Bob, I think it was summer or late summer or so, when Con and I were kind of stumbling around with an idea about how, we're firm believers in giving back. We're firm believers that we're fortunate enough to live the lives we do and do the jobs we do, that we feel a responsibility to sort of give back as much as we can. All you folks in this industry, one of my favorite reasons that I do this is because you're all such wonderful, caring, giving folks. Training people are the best. I've always said that. They're my favorite conferences to go to. I always tell the story of a dear friend of mine who joined one of my earlier companies from Kodak here in Rochester. And at the end of one of our conferences, it was his first training event, and I asked him what he thought. He said, well, my gosh, the interesting thing is no one ever hugged me because I made film when I was at Kodak. But and people tended to do that at the learning conference when they saw each other. So here's our effort today in giving back a bit through the community. Bob comes to us, again, with an incredibly rich background, as you see. L&D for years, learning technology specifically for 18. He's well-versed, and his credentials are top notch. Does great work in his own community and nationally in what we do. You guys, many of you on the call are probably members of ASTD, but he's worked at the local and national level and is past president and board chair of a wonderful organization in the Minneapolis area where Bob comes to us from called PACT, P-A-C-T. I've spoken for them a number of times. One of the most amazing trainer user groups, if you will, associations I've been a part of. Such dedicated members and great folks up in that area. Bob's been involved. Recently, he's joined what he'll tell us a bit about in a minute. Back in May of this year to do some really, really wonderful work. But as you'll hear, still staying very much in what we call the learning business, but in a very unique and different way. And Bob, you know what I left out here? And maybe can transition to you on this, because I did not change it. But passionate, I love this, you guys, for helping, and not just clients, achieve breakthroughs in T&D and performance support. Want to hand it over to you, my friend, and be a little more specific about the work you've done and those who you are serving now.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to the group today. I'm a Bob and Con groupie. If you guys were a rock group, I'd be at every concert that you guys were performing at. I was introduced to Bob and Con many years ago at some of the learning conferences, as many of you are. And I would sign up for every session that these guys would teach because it has radically changed my paradigm of how we engage learners at the right time. And I've been promoting the 5 moments of need to many nonprofits that I've coached. And I wanted to share some of those stories with you today and invite you guys to participate in 2014 and be thinking about that. I want this to be an engaging conversation, so we'll watch the chat room for any questions, and we'll have a couple of opportunities for you to interact as well. I think I need to be promoted to leader to advance the slides. Let's try if I can do it. Oh, there we go. Great. So here's a provocative title for you. Performance Support Can Save the World. And I do that intentionally because we are seeing some growth and some change in the organizations that we are partnering with. And we believe that there's the potential for great impact for good in the nonprofit world as we apply performance support tools and methodologies to what they need to do to build their capacity and expand their ability to serve more people. So would you like to be a superhero? You know, right now there's a whole genre of movies coming out, or have come out and will come out on superheroes. It's a popular theme. But have you ever felt like a superhero in your job, in your vocation, what you do day in and day out? And I have to be honest, I do feel like this very often, if not daily, because in my role with our foundation, we are interacting with nonprofits regionally, nationally, and globally who have some very specific needs. They need to scale training and development, for example. They need to work more effectively and efficiently, and they need wonderfully talented and experienced professionals like each of you on the call today to come alongside and to guide them, assist them in any way that you can, using your sweet spot. If you think of a tennis term, the sweet spot is that middle of the tennis racket. And for each of us, that sweet spot is where we have our education, our knowledge, and experience. And so I want to encourage you to think about using your sweet spot to help nonprofits build their capacity to serve more people. I want to tell you a little bit about our foundation. Cornerstone On Demand Foundation has a very powerful mission in my mind, and it specifically is focused on transforming the way people help people. So think of worthy nonprofits out there that you've supported with your time and money in the past. Imagine them being even more effective and more efficient with the dollars that they receive from donors, with the talented paid and volunteer staff that they have. And so our foundation comes alongside, and with our contribution of technology and talent management software and expertise, we strengthen those nonprofit organizations around the world by helping them develop, engage, and empower their employees and the people that they serve. So it's really, it's work that invigorates me. It stimulates me to want to do more, to work harder, as these nonprofits experience the benefits of what I can share with them and what my colleagues can share with them. And they make improvements, they expand their ability, again, to serve people. And I want to encourage you to go to our website at cornerstoneondemand.org and visit and look at this new website that we have up there that introduces all of the initiatives and signature programs that we are currently involved in. There's a wonderful little video clip that I have featured on the slide there called Our 2 Cents that I would love for you to watch because it's a very quick 2-minute introduction to what the foundation does. And if you think about organizations like nonprofits, when they receive donor dollars, they are under a lot of pressure to reduce their overhead, to reduce those administrative costs that take dollars away from the people they're serving. However, in the process of reducing what we call overhead or administrative costs, we sometimes short circuit our ability to develop and engage our own paid staff and volunteers. And so we come alongside, and our 2 cents in this process is we want to help them leverage those few dollars that they have on the overhead or administrative side of the equation so that they can do more with all the rest of the money and resources that they have to serve their folks. So go out to our website sometime later today or this week, cornerstoneondemand.org, and get introduced to this foundation. There are others out there that are doing great work as well. This is just one more opportunity for you to be exposed to a group that's trying to marshal these resources for the nonprofit community. So I have a question for you. I want you to use your hand tool up at the top of the screen. That's up here above, way up there, and use that drop-down arrow and grab your hand. And I'd like you to raise your hand if you've ever had the opportunity in 2013 to donate HR pro bono time. So, meaning your expertise. Have you had a chance to use your education, knowledge, and experience to serve a nonprofit organization? So, if you would, just use your hand tool there and raise your hand if you've ever had a chance to use your sweet spot, if you will, to serve an organization and help them out. All right, see a bunch of hands coming up there. When I asked that question, I fully expected very few of you to raise your hand, only because I don't ever recall being offered the opportunity myself to offer all this knowledge, experience, and education to serve a nonprofit. There's wonderful nonprofits that we're all introduced to throughout the year through our company or through our local community that we help out with, whether it's a food shelf during the holiday season or it's United Way or all the other great organizations like Relay for Life. You name it. There's many, many out there. And I'm always willing to serve in those, but I've never been able to use what was natural to me in my education and learning world. And so I'm pleased to see a bunch of you were offered those opportunities in the last year. And I encourage you, if you ever have those opportunities come along, even consider asking your local nonprofits, do you need any resource help, any coaching or project work in these areas? And then tell them what you're an expert at and encourage them to think about that, because they may not be aware of what your skill set is, and they may love to know that you are available to help coach them and maybe donate a few hours each quarter to help them with some important projects. All right, now let me go ahead and give you a little bit more information about our foundation. Here's an interesting quote from Burson and Associates, and I apologize that it looks like the header formatting is off a little bit. Burson says, in the nonprofit world, as in the for-profit world, effective talent management serves as a critical source of mid and long-term organizational efficiency and effectiveness. And here's the kicker for me. Money is simply better spent and services have more impact when talent is well developed and well equipped. And this is critical because we have to understand that our dollars go farther when people are more equipped. We know this is true in the for-profit world and the public sector, and it's equally, if not more true, in the private sectors or the nonprofit sector, where they are always fighting for more dollars and they're operating under lean staffing and lean resources. So let me introduce you to the signature programs that our foundation is currently working on. One is called the Nonprofit Empowerment Program, and underneath this umbrella, there's three key initiatives, including the HR Pro Bono Core, which I'll talk about a lot today, the Gift of Learning, which is a portal that's available for nonprofits to get additional training for their staff and their volunteers. And then there's strategic partnerships. In addition to that, a second initiative that we're working on is our Impact Grant Program. And in particular, those are organizations, both regional, nationally, and potentially even global, that need to scale their programs up. And what they need is an investment of infrastructure and software and consulting services to propel them to the next level. And we're excited to see what's happening in the Impact Grant Program. Furthermore is a program that's near and dear to my heart, where I'm spending most of my time, and that's the disasterready.org portal. And I'll talk a little bit about this near the end. But this is an opportunity for any humanitarian organization around the globe to log in and get access to free training resources for their paid and volunteer staff anywhere in the world. It's a wonderful tool. It's gaining lots of momentum right now with thousands of users, and that's where I'm spending most of my time right now. Lastly, an initiative that just broke through this fall is our Veterans Initiative, and we're working with at least one other large organization right now to help veterans who are coming back to the States from their deployment assimilate back into society, get a good job, and I'm excited about that one as well. And there's pro bono opportunities and volunteer opportunities in every one of these initiatives, and I'll talk about a couple and give you some real examples that will help you think about maybe is there an opportunity in 2014 for me to participate. In particular, today I'm going to talk about the HR Pro Bono Core and the disasterready.org initiative that I'm involved with. Now, let's talk about the HR Pro Bono Core, and I want to walk you through the process of what it looks like, what it would look like to you if you were to participate. And when you think of our HR Pro Bono, we are working on coaching sessions and consulting projects that focus on three different talent management areas. In particular, we focus on learning, and that's this audience today. Many of you are coming from a learning background, and you might work under HR, or you might work under IT or a separate training organization. So we help nonprofits evaluate, strengthen their learning strategies and programs. And many of my coaching calls have been in the area of strategy. Organizations need to scale their training up to meet a national or an international level of impact, and so they need strategy. Another area that we focus on is performance. And as you can imagine, these nonprofits need to evaluate and retain and strengthen their valuable staff because they have turnover just like everybody else, and they're working with very few people who are wearing many hats. Lastly, in the area of succession, we want to help nonprofits identify and develop their staff to fill key leadership positions. So that's what we're focused on. Now, as you think of these three areas, I want to do a poll right now. If you were given the opportunity to coach a nonprofit, which of those three areas would be of the most interest to you? So, Bob, I think we'll do a poll right now. I want to bring that up. There it is. Now, this is a multiple answer poll, and I would love to find out from you which of these topics, if you were given the opportunity, and if the stars aligned and you found a great organization that you really wanted to work for, and they had a perfectly sculpted opportunity for you, which ones would be of most interest to you? So pick as many answers as you'd like. We'll give you a few seconds to respond. And as you'll notice from there, I split out the learning area into essentially three different areas, only because I know learning is a huge umbrella, and underneath it there's many. And I could have put more options out there, but just to keep the poll at a reasonable length, I left it there. Take about another 5 seconds. So go ahead and pick your answers. All right, let's go ahead and end that poll. And let's go ahead and now can everybody see the results? All right. Well,
Yeah.
very good. As you look at that, it's a great blend and mix between those of you who would like to focus on learning, performance, and succession. And I love to see the instructional design one on there because we have a lot of organizations that are coming to us, and you know what they need to do? They need to switch from a instructor-led centric world to one that is potentially blended or maybe all online because of the cost of maintaining an instructor-led focus or instructor-led only focus. And they need to reach audiences that are dispersed all around the globe. And one of the best ways for them to do that, of course, is online or mobile learning. And so we need instructional designers. We need folks who are focused on strategy and developing those courses, as well as performance and succession and change management. So thanks for those results. I appreciate that. All right, as we move on, I want to tell you a little bit more about the need that we are hearing from organizations that are nonprofit when they've responded to surveys about what their needs were. Here are some of the statistics that were very startling to me. And it mirrored similar results of what we saw in the for-profit world, but I think it's even greater. So as you think about the challenges that they face, the first one for them is leadership deficit and succession planning. Now, these are not in any particular order. This is just how they're listed on the slide. But look at these statistics. When surveyed, they tell us 67% of their executives anticipate leaving in 5 years, a huge turnover, and yet only 37% of them have developed succession plans. Furthermore, when you think of recruitment and retention on the other end of that spectrum, 9 out of 10 lack a formal strategy. And it may not because they don't want to do it. They may not have the resources. They may not have the expertise that some of you would have on this call today. A third area that they've told us that these are struggling with is training and development. That's our sweet spot, right? 80% of them would say their current development opportunities are a weakness. That's huge. I think that's greater than what we see in the for-profit or public sectors. Then lastly, Other HR issues that they continue to tell us about in surveys is performance management, strategic use of software, and change management. Those of you who are experts in LMS software, for example, can really come alongside a nonprofit and help them to utilize their software better, regardless of what software they're using, whether it's Cornerstones or another product. And so those of you with LMS experience can be a wonderful performance support help to those organizations. So the need is great, and it's greater, I think, in the nonprofit sector than it is in any others. So let me show you how we have engaged HR pro bono volunteers in the past and in the present, and how we'd like to engage you in the future. So I want to walk you through the process of what it might look like if you choose in 2014 to give back, whether it's to our foundation or to another organization. So here's how the process works. The fundamentals are we engage HR professionals like you and training and development professionals who want to donate their expertise and time for good. Remember, that's your sweet spot. So here's what happens. We take you and we invite you to fill out a form and you join our HR Pro Bono Corps. And you join at whatever level you are comfortable with. Maybe you have a few hours free next quarter after the holiday. Or maybe you're available next year in the second or third quarter. You just let us know when you're available. And equally important, you tell us what you're interested in. What are your interests? What's your expertise? And tell us a little bit more about yourself. And then our team is currently collecting interest and examples from other nonprofit clients who have either an expressed need, we need expertise in this area, or maybe through our conversations with them, maybe they're a grant applicant and they're looking for software and technology from the foundation. And in the process of interviewing them, we figure out they need some help. They need some consultation. They need some project work to be able to utilize this grant of software or this grant of consulting services. So our team, and I have a great group of colleagues who look at the match between individuals who are volunteers and those clients of ours, and they match them together so that pre-screening matches them perfectly. We're not going to put you with an organization that's not a good fit because we want you to be successful. So here's what happens. Every situation really comes down to consulting that nonprofit in one of two ways. And again, we're focused just on three areas: learning, performance, and succession. So one way that you might participate, and I would invite you to consider, is a coaching session. And I've been doing a lot of these coaching sessions. My colleagues will contact me and they'll say, Bob, I have an organization here that is considering applying for a grant, or an organization that we are working with that could really use your help in fill in the blank. Maybe it's strategy. Maybe it's going from instructor-led to blended learning. Maybe it's utilizing their LMS more effectively to create curriculums, for example. So maybe you have availability of a couple of hours over the next month. And you could join in on a 1-hour phone call to start the conversation and initiate some ideas with that nonprofit. And then there might be one more follow-up call just to get them to make sure that they've got the strategy in place and they've got the next steps. From that coaching session, what you eventually create is you identify the need and you provide that need to them. Now, another way that you could participate, if you had more time available, might be a project-based opportunity. Now, a project might be anywhere on average up to 20 hours spread over several months. And for that engagement, what you would end up helping them do is to create a project plan. And from that project plan, that organization would then move forward to develop a program, to develop a course, whatever the case might be. In the end, here's what happens. We help nonprofits address human capital related challenges. And it's a very easy process, and all throughout that process, there's a commitment, there's an agreement, there's expectations are clearly stated, and it's a win-win for both sides of the equation, for the HR expert, the training and development expert like you, as well as for the nonprofit that we know has a specific need. So I want to review just real quickly here 2 examples of projects that we've done in the past, and there's many more, but for sake of time, we just have to be real respectful of your day here. So one example that I want to share with you is an example of a coaching session. So here we had a client called Stand for Children. They're an advocacy organization. Here was their need. They needed assistance in developing a learning and development strategy. Now, this, believe it or not, is a very common request from all the nonprofits I've worked with. They don't have a learning professional necessarily on staff. That's not a given. They may have an HR person wearing multiple hats, and one of their hats is training and development, or similar to that. And so we can come alongside and fill this need by helping them with strategy. So we had an HR pro bono partner who came to us from the University of Miami, and this individual worked with them, and the result of that was the impact of creating a needs assessment that they could use to understand what their strategy should be for the following year, and it also helped them in terms of allocation of resources. A very simple approach, and you, with your expertise, your knowledge, your skills and experience, you can very quickly help that organization to achieve that. And believe it or not, after every one of these coaching phone calls, I have felt like a superhero because they are so genuinely thankful and appreciative of your insight. And I was thinking all along, well, this is just what I do. It's no big deal. But to them, it's demonstrably huge. They love it. They really appreciate it. Another example that I want to share with you is on our consulting projects. Here we had another client that was involved with serving at-risk youth, if I can say that quickly. The need for them was they needed to develop an online learning module teaching STEM skills to foster youth. And STEM is that science and technology material that our youth are getting in high school and college. So that we partnered that organization with two HR pro bono partners, one from a global consulting firm and another from Staples. The impact there of that partnership was an online course that will affect or impact 1,000 youth per year who will benefit from that course. And that project might have taken 10 to 20 hours over several months. But it's what those pro bono partners wanted to do. It's what they had time to do. We matched them with an organization that really needed what their expertise would offer. All right, so that's a couple of examples that I can share with you. And one of the things that I just want to say is that we have many other, before I talk about the Disaster Ready Initiative, we have many other pro bono opportunities that we can foresee in the future. And I asked my colleagues about that. What are some of those needs that you anticipate in the future? Here's what they said. In general, they need experts who can coach our nonprofits to pick the right authoring tool or to do some rapid development. They also need experts to help them to create learning measures so they can see how effective their learning is. Is it working out there in the field? Thirdly, how about creating learning strategies? We need people who can come alongside these nonprofits and help them strategize, and that's a common call that I've received. I mentioned our Gift of Learning portal a while back, which is a combination of 8 groupings or 8 buckets of content and training that are geared towards specific roles in a nonprofit. They need subject matter experts on a whole host of different topics. Maybe it's leadership development or time management or something like that. They also need resources, and think about performance support. Again, we want to chunk that learning at the moment of need. We would love to have some pro bono volunteers create resources, maybe a 5 to 10 minute video at the most on some best practices or resources that tie in well to the curriculums that we have out there. And lastly, in our Veterans Initiative, which I briefly introduced at the beginning, we could certainly use similar resources of subject matter experts who can coach veterans on how to interview with and answer tough questions, or how to leverage your social network as you're trying to look for a job. So there are, again, as I mentioned, there are pro bono opportunities in every one of our initiatives. But I want to finish up by telling you about our disasterready.org portal, which went live several quarters ago, earlier this year. And I tell you, it's a phenomenal opportunity for us to reach out in a very meaningful way to a global audience of humanitarian organizations that are focused on disaster relief. And they need a series of different types of curriculums to prepare their paid and volunteer staff. So let me introduce the Disaster Ready initiative and signature program to you. Here's our goal. Our goal is to really increase the preparedness and effectiveness of humanitarian aid workers globally by providing accessible, affordable, high-quality training. So this, as you think about this, it's an opportunity for us to give back to that humanitarian community. Very quickly here, as I finish up, There's a screenshot of our webpage, and as you go there, you have lots of different training topics to browse. Notice the reference to the Philippine typhoon there, and we want this site to be readily available with relevant material, with rapidly deployed materials for those humanitarian workers. And then on the right-hand side, you can see kind of our focus is in 4 areas. Existing e-learning specialty courses that are donated to us and collected from other organizations. Custom e-learning courses, which I'm involved with, and I could use pro bono help in there. Mobile-ready courses, and then, of course, webinars and links to additional resources. So that's the Disaster Ready signature program, and I apologize for time. I don't want to go in much deeper than that. But now here's how you can participate. I want to encourage you to think about putting on your superhero suit or cape next year and think about how you might be able to help an organization like the Cornerstone on Demand Foundation. Here's how it would work if you wanted to participate in 2014. You just got to let us know that you're interested. We have an online form that you can fill out. It's no obligation to you. It just simply captures your interests, your availability. You remain in complete control of the timing and the amount that you might want to participate in, so there's no obligation. Then what happens next is we have a brief phone interview where one of my colleagues will contact you and find out more information about you and then let you know if there's opportunities available. If there's not an opportunity available, we can certainly keep you on a list and then come back to you when the right moment appears. Then we go on and we create an agreement between you and the nonprofit. You would complete your contribution to that organization and everybody wins. It's actually a very simple process, and I have many colleagues who are currently involved in it, and they're enjoying it, and I'm getting feedback that they are of immense value to these nonprofits with their expertise. And I want to encourage you to stay connected to us, find out more about what our foundation is doing. You can see all the social media tools that we're using aggressively from Facebook, Twitter to LinkedIn. We're really developing our YouTube channel. We have recorded webinars out there as well as other information about us. We also, of course, have our website, which I encourage you to go out there and check out all of our signature programs in more detail. And my email address is at the bottom there. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, if you want to get more information, please do that. I want to open it up for, we have just a few moments here for any questions if you might have any. Alexis, I see that you're in the chat there too, and Alexis has some great lessons learned and some supporting materials that they can provide to you too. So, Bob, I'll turn it over to you. If there are no questions, we can move on.
Wonderful. Bob, well, thank you so much, my friend. There is some typing. If you want to, we'll look into those questions over on the right, folks. Please put them in the chat, and you have Bob's email. This deck will be sent out in the follow-up as well as the recording. Bob, thanks so much, my friend, for your years of dedication to the industry, but at the same time, your wonderful work as you've moved over to this. It really is exciting, and
I'll start answering some of those questions in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend. So to wrap up, folks, we'd love your feedback on some last slides. And this is, again, the most powerful thing for Con and I as we go into planning for 2014. We'll start our webinars again mid-January. We will be adding some new feature functionality to the community itself. Again, some announcements coming shortly. So here's what we want to do today to get your mind and your thoughts rolling and your feedback. Year in review, not a bad year, folks. We just crossed the 2,600 mark. We are at 2,604 as of this morning. But more importantly, it was our biggest year ever. We added 655 members since January 1st. Really, really amazing, the growth going on there. We did our 12-month webinars. We had 2 group meetings, one at the Performance Support Symposium in Boston for the eLearning Guild, and another one at the Amazing Learning event in Orlando. Great seeing so many of you there and having some time to catch up. Kind of informal, but worked out very, very well. 141 blogs. This year we added podcasts, 6 of them. We hope you found them helpful. Would love to hear more about those. And then we ended the year with virtual office hours for 2 times, which were well attended. Jeremy Smith's on here. He helped us at one point, as well as others. We'd love to get your feedback on those. So, you guys, with that as a refresher, here's what we thought we'd wrap up with about 5 minutes here, and then again we have an announcement at the end we'd love to share. It's how are we doing, honestly, and don't pull punches here. We know this is your time. We know, Con and I do our best to dedicate a good part of our time to this. what's working, what needs to improve, what could we add. We rarely get this time with you to get this kind of direct feedback. So here's what we'd love to do. You see the numbers on the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are just suggestions. These are not what we're going to do. We'd love to do many or all of them, but we'd much rather do ones that are of value. What we'd love you to do in the chat, if you wouldn't mind for us, is folks, give us feedback. Pick a number, pick a couple numbers. You have to type it out, but if you put, let's say, number 2, you'd like a face-to-face event, you could give us some feedback on how that might work, where it might be, if it's something you'd frankly pay for, to be honest. I mean, it would be an event. Obviously, we're not asking for a commitment here. But Chris mentions chat office hours. We talked about a scheduled office hour. We did 2 of those. The problem with them is they are scheduled. They're an event kind of thing. So we could offer office hours at a time of day, a couple times a week, where you could come in and chat with us. Getting some votes for 5. I don't know how many of you participate in the Twitter Learn chats on Thursday nights. Amazing things globally. They've grown into just these monstrous community networks. You guys give us, and you can give us more than numbers. You can give us, what do you think? What would work? Should we expand into some services, workshops, consultings, specifically to organizations? Give you a second to kind of think about the year, think about the community, and more importantly, tell us what would make it better. What's been your favorite part of the year? Any kind of feedback on the slide before or this one would be awesome. I'll give you a second there. Comments on your side?
Oh, just that we want to enrich the community in every way that we can, and put as much effort as we can to help this be a meaningful community for each and every one of you. So what you see here are areas that we've been working on, areas that we think could be very helpful. We've been working on a couple of workshops to roll out in 2014, and just want to make sure that we're
Excellent.
Helpful every way that we can be.
Excellent, Margaret. What we'd love to hear too, you guys, is topics for the webinars. Here you go, Chris, where we show best of projects built by clients. Love that. Appreciate the
I've often thought that show and tells, periodic show and tells, where members of the community can share what you're doing in the world of performance support, and we can all chime in and talk about what's great about all of that and things that might improve them. It could be perhaps some fun.
Brain research, Bob, lots of work in the area. You may have seen our last blog on the work being done by a woman named Betsy Sparrow out of Columbia. Betsy will be joining us in 2014 for some chats and others. So, but terrific idea. Again, we're not staying.
What another thought that we've had is kind of a working lab where you could, it's like the office hours, but where you could come and bring a project that you're working on, and we could give you feedback and some advice.
So there's the idea, guys, of show and tells, right, from people who have done stuff. Khan's talking about the idea of you bringing ideas of what you're doing, even if it's not done. Maybe you've not even launched it, but you'd like feedback on how to and what have others done. And again, not just from Conrad, clearly, but from the community at large, Jeremy Smith and others who are doing a great job and have helped us in the past, who have walked this walk in organizations for years. Wild idea. Could we involve the community in pro bono? Yeah, Bob. How about that, right? We could put our effort where our mouth is. So, Bob Nunning, maybe we'll be contacting you in 2014. We can get an army of folks to potentially help out with some of that work. So good other stuff, folks. Yeah, Jeremy, great members connected to each other around specific topics. That'd be great. One idea here, Jeremy, is this idea of focus groups, right? See number 3 here. You know, is there a need or time to talk about measurement, right? Or adoption, or how do I create energy and keep performance support going in my organization? What tools should I use? What do people use to build this stuff? Um, all those but again, those would be, I think, Jeremy, those would be an idea of where it'd be very specific topics that we could have a brainstorm around, or an ongoing dialogue around. Of course, the performance support community through forums and other things. It does have a group feature we've never really turned on, which would allow us to create focus groups or topic groups and have host conversations there. So great ideas. Any others that would make your time and effort here helpful? We'll keep the chat. Of course, you know where we live. But we wanted to use this time, since we had you dedicated and focused, to see focus groups. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Is that better, Bob? Thank you. Yep, sorry. Yep. Good. Bunch of other folks typing. We'll let you do that as those are filing in. Failures. How's that, Jeremy, right? Yeah, what has not worked? The good, the bad, and the ugly. We learn a lot in life from what goes well and doesn't, right? So, yeah. Yep. Having performance support for performance support. How's that?
This is all very
Yep.
helpful. So thank you for thoughtfully contributing
So
here.
next steps, folks, keep this conversation going and coming. We so look forward to an exciting thing in 2014. We will let you know. Con and I also have a fairly exciting announcement that you're the first to hear, and we thought we would debut it here, and that is that Con and I are now independent. We have had a long run with Ontuitive. I think we have a colleague or two on this call. We so love that organization, the people there. But it has come our time to part ways. We will be opening up a new organization in January that Con and I will be sponsoring. It will be dedicated and focused on performance support, furthering the industry, and specific work in helping everyone. Ontuitive is so wonderfully focused on software and designs a good product. We are wanting to move a bit beyond that in supporting performance support at a larger level. So we are going to be sending out a lot more information on services, programs, things we'll be able to do more for this community with that time that we have to dedicate to that. So we hope you're excited and anxious to engage with all of you. If you'd like to reach out sooner than that, of course, you know where we are on the community site. We no longer have the Ontuitive email. We've stepped away from that. But we are reachable on the performance support website. We have a Con and Bob page. Be happy to talk there. We hope it is helpful. And we will continue from there. We can't thank you folks enough. From our families to yours, there's the Gottfredsen clan, the Mosher group. We feel so blessed and fortunate to be a part of this community, to know all of you. And we are anxious to do our very best as we get into the new year to keep this momentum going. It's an exciting topic, and you've helped us get it to there. So from ours to yours, healthy, happy, joyous, safe holiday. Wrap up to 2013, and we cannot wait to re-engage in 2014.